Alright. What's up, everybody, and welcome back. It's been a hot minute since I uploaded anything to this pig coaching channel, but don't worry, the hiatus will be completely over in the near future. For now, we're going to be teaching you guys how to defend cannon rushes. So just the other day, I had printf on the stream, and he is, of course, the king of cannons, I call him. He's a player who's regularly been 6k MMR in years gone past, beating pro gamers and high-level players, despite the fact that he doesn't play on a barcode. Everyone knows that he's a cannon rusher, and not only that, they also know that he always plays one base or die trying. And that restriction makes it very easy to counter him, and yet people still can't counter him. And that's because he has a very detailed understanding of many different variations that can make a cannon rush work. He's been kind enough in the past to do a series of videos with me breaking down how to defend all of his cannon rushes and how to get better at that mini game that it kind of forces you into. And just the other day, we got him on stream again for a long technical discussion about how to beat cannon rushes. I didn't want to include all of it because it's over 2 hours, but there is a link down below in the description if you want to see the whole thing. But for now, we're just going to show you what I think is the most important parts that should completely revolutionize your ability to defend cannon rushes. Alright guys, we're going to show ZVP, printf who's going to cannon rush me, and I'm just going to walk you guys through my fundamentals of defense, which we went over a lot in the old cannon rush video and still do hold true, even though that was pre-battery. And I've always held strong on this, and even when people do it outside my natural, I still often pull the boys, and I pull more boys than is needed, and I overreact rather than underreact, and it's far from perfect. But I think it gives me a very good win rate versus cannon rushes. It allows me to just focus really hard on doing the things that I do well. And hopefully can give you guys an idea of what's going on. So we're just going to play very standard. We're not going to blind counter anything. First overlord is just going to go sit next to the natural as it does. I guess like about there. Second overlord goes and sits outside, goes over the natural and then sits out front. That's what I do every game to make sure I see any probes coming in. And we're going to play a hatch first, which I don't always play. If I know my opponent's a cannon rusher, I might go pull first or something like that usually, but obviously in this game we're going to imagine we don't know what's coming. And really the big things you guys are going to see is it's all about essentially going out there and pulling our workers and having some good habits around putting our workers on army keys, control grouping them so that we can easily micro them, splitting them up to attack different targets, using shift click to do that, hunting down the enemy probes to restrict movement, and all this sort of stuff. Okay, so we just saw a probe, and we saw a probe being very sneaky. So guys, we're immediately going to pull a lot of probes. Now, I might only pull 5 until I know that he's actually committed, okay? Or I think that's 6. Oh, he's in! He's in! Okay. So now I definitely need to pull more, guys. And, okay. This is a big problem for me. Because we need to make sure that we get on top of this, okay? So notice we're trying to get his probe, and we're trying to really focus on that as much as we can. And notice these guys aren't A-moved, because if they're A-moved, then that is not going to work out well. And we're just splitting up the focus fire as much as we possibly can. And notice I'm just droning. I'm not building a spawning pool or anything. The reason is he was hitting me so hard, so aggressively, that we're basically just saying, all I need to do is defend and survive. And he's committed so much that we should be way ahead now. Now, obviously, you can keep droning, or you can build a spawning pool. Spawning pool is pretty important. If he just wants to tap, I'm fine with that, since I think we showed the most important part. But if printf genuinely has a real chance, or feels he does, then we can hang on. Cool. Now that there is artful fucking probe micro, man. I get fucking seriously, because normally it's so much easier, even against GM cannon rushes, to shut down that probe. But the way your probe circles, I'm like, die! I'm queuing workers to shift move in front of it, Q and A move. Normally they get a hit off there. I'm looking at it. I'm like, why is it still on full hit points? That probe should be dead by now if it's anyone else microing it. God damn.
Yeah, I thought I might not actually get those pylons down because the margins were really slim on the drones chasing the probe. And it's slightly different thing than I'm used to, but I got them down barely. But yeah, like I said,
the number of times I was doing my shift click intercepts, then you avoided it. I was like, God damn, man.
I missed the cancel on that cannon, which was really bad. Yeah, like I said, I normally wouldn't go into natural on this map.
Yeah. But this is more commonly what people will be playing in. So let's focus on those details, okay? So before we talk about intercepting the probe, let's talk about the rules, okay? And let's write those down really quickly so you can all understand what are the rules to defending a cannon rush. Okay, so in this case, he went super early with the pylon, so it's a little different to a lot of the ones that I've played against normally. But let's open up like WordPad. All right, guys. So what are the rules we have for defending cannon rushes? So okay, first things first. When I see a probe, send a worker to attack it. Okay, and this is kind of like. There are times you'll see I don't do this because I go, this guy doesn't ever cannon rush. I know he doesn't cannon rush. Therefore, I know it's a scouting probe. But as a general rule, when I see a probe, so it's when you see probe, send a worker to attack it. Okay, that's number one. Now something else you can do here is you can also then pylon. So basically, let's simplify this. See probe, send worker to attack. See pylon, send 5 more workers to attack it / try to trap probe. If cancelled, pull back and just leave 1 chasing probe. If finished or see second probe, you know they are 100% committing. What do we do if they're 100% committing, guys? And don't get me wrong, they could let the pylon finish and not be committing. So you could pull a bunch of drones and then be like, oh, wait, he's not doing it, and pull him back. But that's okay. We're happy to deal with an edge case where we waste a bit of minerals. That's fine. A lot of people worry too much over losing a few minerals. Apparently cancelled only has 1 L in it. 100% committing. So 100% committing, what would you do there, guys? You've already got 1 worker chasing the probe. 5 now, other than 6 probes that have come down. Pull all but 2 to, like, let's say you leave 2 to 3 workers mining. All but 2 to 3 workers. And the trick here is, as well, there's also like bonus points, right? Control group drones on army keys. And army keys. Do this ahead of time. So the moment you pull 1 drone, control group the next 5. The moment you pull the next 5, control group the next 10. The idea is then, if you think about this, guys, I can be looking at this drone chasing, and then I go, oh, he's built a pylon. And I've already got those 5 other drones on a hotkey. I just go, select number 3, A, move it down here. Or click it on the pylon, right? So that's like a really nice, simple way of making it easy. And as I'm bringing them down, I can box the other 10 workers in my base and go, okay, you guys are on number 2. And then, oh, yeah, he's full committing. There's another probe, or I see the pylon finish and cannons go down, and then we pull even more workers down. And that's going to allow us to basically make it very easy. Whereas what do I see whenever I'm looking at people playing it, guys? What do I see? They're like staring at it. They're like, that's a pylon. And then I see them scroll down, box workers, scroll up, attack move. And I'm like, oh my God, you just lost like 10 seconds of time. 10 seconds is half of a pylon. It's 1/3 of a cannon. You're literally just wasting so much time already. So it's super important that you actually just are organized with this. And the reason why we don't pull all the drones straight away is just 1 probe, 1 pylon. It could be a fake. But the moment we see more pylons, or the pylon finishes, or a second probe, okay, now we know it's committed. We're going to pull everything, okay? So what do we do once we realize it is committed and we're going to pull everything, okay, guys? Okay, so we pull all but 2 to 3 workers. What do we do next? Okay, in terms of the micro, we want to click, attack the pylons and cannons with as many drones as you can. Now that means manually attack or right-clicking, click commanding onto those structures and massaging the units around and using shift-click to keep doing so. Still always leave 1 to 2 workers chasing each of their workers, or they can just do dirty shit to you, basically. They can basically do dirty stuff. So let's like look at all this now in the context of this replay to hit it home, okay, guys? So
I have 2 notes before you leave that
yes,
note
please.
sheet. First is if you're going to hotkey your drones to your army hotkey, something I've learned while worker rushing is you should always remember to clear that hotkey afterwards. Otherwise, you might pull your workers off the middle line.
Great point. Yeah. After rush, remember to override all army keys with your, toolings, marine, etc. So you don't accidentally pull your workers 5 minutes later in a fight, which we've all done before after this. So very good point. Very good point. Was there another one?
The other thing is for the microwing, you should tell them to attack the pylon and then shift to an attack command on the cannons. That way they immediately start attacking the cannon.
Oh, I don't do that. That's awesome. That's a good idea. I don't know why I don't do that. That's real smart, because I often Q and A move after, and it requires extra micro and Fs me. I just learned something that's really huge.
Yeah, because if they ever go on attack move, they'll chase the probe.
Shift A click on the cannon. Yeah, so what happens if you don't specifically target, if you just A move with these drones, the probe can run up and like A move near you and then run away. Or it doesn't even need to A move, actually. It can just run past. Because the cannon's not finished, it doesn't have an attack priority yet. Like, it's lower than the probe. So all your drones will just be like, oh, there's a probe! And they'll chase after it, right? And the same thing with, like, if you aren't manually attacking the pylons, they'll be like, oh, a cannon finished. And they'll all stop attacking the pylons they're attacking and go after it, even though they can't reach it. And they're all stuck behind each other. So this is super friggin' essential. This is really important stuff. 90% of cannon rushes are lost because people don't do this micro. So let's watch this from my vision and talk you guys through this one more time. I'm going to put it on the slowest game speed possible, right? So this overlord is queued to go there and then stand out front, so it gets early warning of any probes coming in. But the reason I queue it over the natural is specifically just in case someone does what printf's done here. So there's no way I would miss this. Okay, so I see a probe coming in. I started pulling a drone, but then I saw a pylon and I immediately was like, oh, okay, we're pulling 5 or 6 just because. Why am I pulling more? Why aren't you just pulling the 5? Number one, I just boxed workers. If I pull 1 or 2 more, I'd rather pull 1 or 2 more than 1 or 2 less. My whole thing is I'd rather pull extra than less. Number one. Number two, I don't know this map. It's a new map. I don't know how good the cannon spots are. So I'd rather be extra careful here to play a little bit safe. But we've got 1 drone that's going to attack the probe, and the rest we're going to pull and try and attack. Now I did pull 1 or 2 of these back, I think, because I was like, oh, this is so much more than I would normally pull. So let's try and follow the rules here. But the moment the second pylon went down, that's immediately where we go, oh, it's committed. See a second probe, that confirms it. And what do we do, guys? We pull more drones down there. Now, I actually didn't control group these drones. I probably should have. I was going a bit more manual here. But notice what we're doing. So what I'm doing is I grab these drones and I try to get as many drones on the first pylon as possible. The first pylon is the one that is least likely to cancel. And it also has a lot of surface area. So that's the one which they're never going to cancel that because they need that to finish to get the cannon started. These guys aren't as important to attack. But ideally, we want enough drones to get surface area everywhere we can. So we're going to get about 5 drones attacking this, 2 drones attacking this, 1 or 2, and then 3 or 4 drones attacking the top pylon. And notice, let's just look at the micro and kind of see how we do this. So these drones are coming in. Notice we move there, then queue attack on the pylon. We moved there and then queued attacks on that. So there's a lot of right click, shift right click. Right click, shift right click. Because if you just A click on it or you don't move around, often your drones get stuck. So say there's like a pylon here you're trying to attack. Imagine that, guys. You could attack 10 drones from here and only one, they'll all get stuck there. Whereas you could tell them to go around and 5 or 6 could attack the pylon from the other side. But if you don't tell them to, they'll all just stand behind each other going because your units are not intelligent on their own. Drones especially are pretty stupid. Anything to add so far, printf, in this?
Nothing on that, no.
All right, so to add printf's note from before, guys, notice how these guys had A moves. Very lazy. So once that's down, I need to manually target them on the cannon. That's shit. So I should have A-clicked that and then shift either right-clicked or A-clicked on the cannon. Essentially say, once you're done killing the pylon, attack that. Once you guys are done killing the pylon, kill that. Once you guys are done killing the pylon, kill that. However, small adjustment. I actually would not do that. What I would do is I would say these guys attack the pylon, then attack that pylon. And these guys, once you're done attacking that pylon, attack this pylon. The reason, whenever you're looking at a cage like this, the most vulnerable point is never the cannon, or very rarely, it's almost always the powering of the cannon. And that's actually the thing which will already be heavily damaged. And that's why I targeted the pylons rather than the cannon. And this is huge. This is something you absolutely have to remember to focus on. is in these cannon cage situations, if you always are obsessed with going after the cannon and not the pylon, you may miss an opportunity there. Focus the pylons down, plus new pylons building is often more effective than the cannon in the back. You can kill that eventually, but it's more important to depower it so it can't shoot. Because there's a lot of maps, the number of times I have seen people die to this, on Inside Out, every other map where there's a cannon with only 2 drones can attack it once you kill the pylon. And people are just trying to attack with 15 drones. And I'm like, dude, if you just kill the pylon that's exposed, like it can't shoot you. And you could get 10 drones attacking the pylon. You could kill it in like a matter of about 10 seconds, if not less. But people are just so focused on the cannons. And this is why you want to try and attack everything you can. So if you're like, but how do I choose? Well, then I say, just attack everything. So my one-size-fits-all rule is when you break through, attack everything. So you're going to notice that's what we do here, where basically the pylon goes down, some attack the cannon, some attack the pylon. And I take a little bit to do it. You'll see there. I attack the cannon with what I can, attack the pylon with what I can. And I was a little bit panicked when this cannon started shooting me. But like that drone there could have been attacking the pylon the whole time. And yeah, he gets like 4 kills, 3 kills, which is not bad. But you can see once it's depowered, you're all good. Now, obviously, they might have another pylon they start building on the outside, and it'll be important in that case, if this is finishing as that other pylon dies, to also get drones on that pylon as well. So it is important to, you know, focus on lots of things, and it's also important to chase the probe down. Let's talk about the probe micro now, which we mentioned. He was a god of avoiding this friggin' drone surrounds. So all I want to do is get lots of damage on him. So part of that is just leave 1 or 2 drones attacking that probe. So notice I send a drone after it, but he runs away. So we send a drone to attack him. So 2 drones, 3 drones. And then notice what I'm doing with these drones. Okay, let's slow this right down. Sorry, I should really show you guys. So just look at these drones. I'm not going to... So right now, they're just on A move, these 3 drones, right? But if we watch this, we're going to try and split them up. Because if we just chase him one at a time, that's not good. But notice we're splitting the drones up to try and cut him off. So what we're doing is we're saying move there, then A move. Move there, then A move. So if the probe's running here, I can grab this drone, say run there, shift A move. If the probe's running to the top, I can right click there, shift A move. So they're automatically going to attack the probe if it's nearby, but you're just trying to get in front of it so you don't end up with 3 or 4 drones all chasing the probe. Now this is super bonus micro. I would say this is lower priority than just targeting your drones on the structures. So that's high priority, and actually manually targeting drones to chase the probe is kind of like a bonus task that you can get some rewards for, but you've definitely got to be careful that you're #1 targeting the structures down. A big problem people make is what I just did here. Probe puts some buildings down and they stop chasing it completely, and then they cancel a bunch of structures and they do like a really sick wall off somewhere else. Whereas if you always keep at least 1 drone attacking that probe, it's going to be a lot harder for them to do that. It really limits the freedom with what they can do, and it makes it much harder for them to keep the probe alive and also cancel buildings and place them all in the correct spots because they're just blocked a lot of the time, they're under heavy pressure, all this sort of shit's going down. Alright, so I think this is important, guys, because this sort of mini dance, that's the highest level on the fly positioning and probe micro you're going to come up against. So just to reiterate, it's much easier than this. Do you know why? Because you're not playing a Grandmaster Cannon Rusher in most of your games. If you're watching this and feeling this is overwhelming, let's bring it back to the basics. And what are the basics? Me pull workers, put on control group. Me attack pylons and cannons with as many drones as you can. You do that, you're good. Even if you wanted to simplify it, I'm in bronze. Okay, I see a pylon. I could simplify this, right? We could say bronze version, right? Me see pylon and probe equals pull every worker. Oh, also, guys, keep producing workers off control groups during the fighting. If you keep doing that, you can often end up 4, 5, 6 workers ahead of where you would be if you freeze up completely and don't spend your money. So just a bonus point. I think we'll put that under bonus points. Cool. And I think this micro applies pretty much in the same rule for every race. What do you think, printf?
Yeah, I think it's worth emphasizing that you should remember to chase the probe because, especially at lower levels, it's really difficult to make the probe useful if it's being chased by workers. I
Yeah,
mean,
if even without that fancy micro, just having 2 workers attacking the worker often kills it up to like diamond and above even.
yeah, and like I'm good enough to, as you saw in that game, get a pylon down with a really small gap between the probe and the drones, but most people aren't. So if you're chasing the probe with a couple workers, that probe is useless now for most people.
Yeah, it applies pressure and it takes 0 micro to just leave 1 or 2 workers attacking each of his. So that's huge. All right, everybody, so I really hope that helped you out, showing you some of the details first person of how we actually defend it, talking to him about some of those details, harrying the probes and kind of stopping the cannons getting up and all that sort of stuff. If you want to watch the whole thing, as I said, there's a link below to the Twitch video I've highlighted. It's over 2 hours, and you can actually see us looking at PvP, PvT, and a few different scenarios. And we also added some more notes specific to if the cannon rush is getting up against you, you're not able to stop it getting up initially with the workers, and you're playing Terran or Protoss, what to do in those situations. So we've identified a few of those and added those to that Google document with those notes, which is also down below in the description. So give it a click, check out those notes, and good luck getting better against cannon rushes. Of course, before I go, I do want to say, big announcement, Bronze to GM is going to be restarting soon. I'm going to be doing it versus viewers, and that's going to be awesome because we should be able to source even more bronze and silver players without feeling as bad about it as I did in my past ones. It's also been a few years since I did ZERG Bronze to GM. That was the first one I did. So we're going to start with ZERG, and I'm going to try and use it to show new things. My old Bronze to GM still absolutely applies, but the new one is going to show a lot of new stuff as well as reinforcing the stuff we learned in the first one. So that's going to start when I get back from the World Championship in a few weeks. So keep your eyes peeled for some more regular uploads on this channel. Thank you everyone who's hung around and has been watching the whole time. All right, thanks for watching everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye and good night.